Trigger warning. The following content may include sexual content, excessive or gratuitous violence content, Build-A-Bear Workshop content, death and or dying content, naked Mitch McConnell, and doom scrolling. If you are offended by the aforementioned content, please stop listening and go ahead and give a 5-star review anyway. If you are not offended, you are probably a terrible person and have discovered your people. Welcome, new listener.
You're now tuning in, so get ready for your mindless and sometimes mindful hosts, Josh, Jenn, and their very special guest for the morning. Sit back and enjoy the show.
Welcome to the Mindless Morning Show.
Good morning, everyone. Welcome to the Mindless Morning Show. I am here with Jenn and also Dean, a.k.a. the Pipeman, who is a network owner, promoter, radio host, author, and interviewer. Badass dude, and currently chilling at the beach while talking to us. That's cool. How's it going today, man?
Hey, listen, with COVID, might as well only be at the beach. Like where I am is the best place to be for COVID because like I have the Intercoastal in front of us here and I got the beach behind us. But when I look across the Intercoastal to West Palm Beach and Palm Beach Gardens and look at all the idiots, I know that I'm perfectly isolated away from them. I don't know how it is for you, okay? But here in South Florida, we are the land of the morons, okay?
We're crackhead energy, man.
Listen, okay? So people here, okay, either A, they take their mask off so that they can cough, or they just, they can't breathe, so they cut a hole in their mask so they can breathe.
I mean, you don't want to cough directly into your nose either, but, this is why I just stay home.
Right.
Yeah, well, that's why, this perfect place. I can isolate. I don't even know COVID's going on half the time, except the fact that I'm normally, I'd be in Costa Rica right now if it weren't for this bullshit. Yeah, I can say bullshit, right?
Dude, you can say anything you want.
So, yeah, I mean, the whole thing is I can feel isolated here. I can go paddleboard, I can surf, I can kayak. And it's all the rest of you in the world can complain.
There you go, man. Well, I'm in Texas, so that's where we just lifted all the mask mandates and let everything loose. So, but we've
been there since election day, except the mask mandates. We have that here, but DeSantis opened us up right the day before the election.
Oh, yeah. But I thought y'all were a Democrat state, though, right?
No, we're a red state for sure. Yeah. It's only certain pockets that have the blue, but we are Listen, I went to high school in California. Some of my best friends from for life are out there, and every time I go out there, they're like, "Dude, you've been in Florida too long." and it has to do with the fact that I'm not an extreme left winger. And God forbid I say anything that isn't extreme left wing. I've been in Florida too long because we're known as red.
I can feel your
us fucking degenerates. You know what? Jeez, what can you do?
Yeah, well, we're red because we have a bunch of rednecks in our state, so you have to be red.
Yeah, this is a very valid point, and this is science, folks. So
there it is. And we are definitely the land of the scamdemic. Almost everybody I know calls it a scamdemic. And I don't know about in Texas yet. Okay. I know my daughter, she lives in El Paso, but that's not really Texas. That's Mexico.
I'm in Dallas.
I absolutely abhor El Paso, but Dallas is cool.
Dallas is great.
But I mean, we have live music going on, not festivals, not concerts, but it's been going on the whole time. There's places you go. It's Taco Tuesday tonight. There's a place up the road from me that it's a taco stand, seriously. And you would think it's a nightclub every Tuesday night during this whole COVID thing. And just people are on top of each other. It's like a petri dish, actually. So, I kind of wonder what's going on.
Yeah.
I think we all wonder what's going on.
We definitely have some dope taco places, little trucks that hang out in these parking lots late at night. And dude, they got the parking lot lit up with disco lights, music's bumping. They're serving tacos at the truck. It's a good time. Everybody's there.
Oh, totally.
Yeah.
And they're still there. So, I mean,
Yeah,
They didn't die, right?
No. And actually, I heard Texas's rates were going down like drastically.
I know. I got really offended when they first lifted the mandate, and I was all over Reddit, which is a place you shouldn't be all over anyways. But everybody was like, good, let the dummies die or whatever. And I was just like, wow, y'all are so hateful. Like, but now I'm like, great that we're persevering, show us we're not dumb, maybe.
That's my problem too. Okay. So if you look at my profile, I call myself, because I'm definitely schizophrenic. Okay. So I'm a liberal, conservative, metalhead, punker, hippie, professional businessman. That's my description on Facebook.
You're human.
Right.
Well, because my whole thing is like, first of all, what are we fucking kickball teams? I got to pick a side.
Yeah.
Apparently now we do.
You didn't know this is Bloods and Crips now?
It totally. And that's the thing is, to me, I stand back as an objective outsider looking in, and it's like, I think both sides are just as bad as the other. Like the ones complain about the other side, but they're doing exactly what they're complaining about. And it's just like, my philosophy with the politicians is they're all on one side and it ain't mine.
Yep.
I agree. I 100% agree. Like, I'm not going to die by the side of either one of them,
No, I mean, listen, 328 million people, and in 2 elections, these are the 3 best clowns we could come up with. That's my viewpoint. Sorry, anybody gets offended, but listen, I'm equal opportunity. They're all clowns.
If people can not agree with that statement, that if they really think those are like at all remotely the best candidates, then they really need to they need to go on like a spiritual awakening trip or some shit to get in touch with shit.
Oh yeah, no doubt. And the sad state of the presidency when you got people like Kim Kardashian saying she's going to run for president, and now you have
Is that serious?
Yeah, no, she said that before. Kanye has said it. Kid Rock has said it, and now the latest one to join it, okay, Meghan Markle.
Wow. I'm not going to lie, though. I'd probably vote for Kid Rock just because.
I was just going to say that I love Kid Rock.
Waffle House for everyone.
Yeah.
I'll tell you who I would vote for and did vote for, okay? So the first one between Hillary and Trump, I did a write-in candidate. And actually, my write-in candidate got 4 votes. I was one of them, but there were actually 3 other votes. And I actually run a campaign on my radio show and on my station. And basically the commercials go like this. The first commercial is Bill Clinton saying he did not have sexual relations with that woman. and then the second commercial, I come on and, I'm Pipeman, and I will have, if elected, I will have sexual relations with that woman. Vote Pipeman for Prez. And I did get 3 other votes besides my own. So that's the sad state that I would actually get 4 votes.
I mean, honestly, it's better than nothing. I mean, it's just kind of, I know a lot of people almost every year, or not every year, but every election vote for Mickey Mouse.
No doubt about it. No doubt. Listen,
there's quite a few people that'll do it too. It's pretty sad.
But I have to say with right now, okay, couple things about that is not Mickey Mouse, because Mickey Mouse would be great at running the country, like probably better than any president of my lifetime.
Oh boy.
Hey, that was pretty good.
He's good at it.
So yeah, I mean, my viewpoint is what happened to you actually had to have some kind of credential. Like, I feel like the presidency right now, I'm sorry, we shouldn't have been teaching kids you can grow up and anybody can grow up to become president, because like now the presidency is like a participation trophy.
Oprah's just handing out trophies. You get to be president. You get to be president.
No doubt. Like, okay, I think you should have some kind of qualifications. My other thing is too, okay, so used to be generations were 25 years, okay? But with how fast technology is and how fast we've been going, that's been shrinking. So like in the past 35 years, we've had 4 generations. We have my generation, Gen X. We have older millennial, younger millennial.
Like literally 10 minutes
We were
ago.
just talking about it.
And you have Gen Z. Okay. So and here's the thing. The boomers, they're history. Okay.
What?
When I was younger, they were big. Not anymore. Okay. Gen Xers, we're 1 foot on banana peel. Okay. But these millennials and these Gen Z, they are the future and they're bigger. Okay. So their generations together are bigger than anybody in the population. They are the ones that know how to run all this technology stuff. I mean, I'm pretty tech oriented, don't get me wrong, but most people my age are not. Okay.
Yeah.
And, it's the first time in world history that the younger generations are teaching the older generations how to do things, opposed to the other way around. So why the F are we looking to elect 70-something-year-old people? I don't get it. I mean,
but did you see how gracefully he fell up the stairs? I mean, come on, nobody else could do that.
I mean, come on. 54, I'm 54. I don't think I should be president. I think the perfect president for these times is between 35 and 45. I mean,
can agree with that.
Otherwise, you're not relative. What is Trump or Biden relative or relevant to anybody in the whole country? They're relevant to the dinosaurs that are on their way out.
Yeah.
They're not relevant to today and the future. So regardless, even if they were the best qualified people in the world, it's seriously, we have 20-year-olds voting for almost 80-year-olds? That makes no sense to me. When I was 20, I would not have voted for somebody that age.
It's because that's the only choice, though. I mean, when you get two shitty choices, you have to vote for one shitty person,
Oh, God. I hate it.
And to me, the last two elections have both been voting for one person to not have to vote for the other person. It's not been
no doubt about
like
it.
them. Nobody likes them. It's just to get the other person out. It's ridiculous. But nothing changed.
You're damned if you do, damned if you don't. And everybody keeps complaining. I'm listen, whoever wins, we're screwed, period.
Pretty much. I mean, except this time it's more of a quietly being screwed situation. At least Trump was like, hey, we're being screwed, and I'm going to tell you about it on Twitter. Now Biden is just creeping by and has addressed us maybe one time, I think, now. And it's been the boringest crap I've ever heard in my life. So
it was actually really entertaining to know that he's over 120 years old. So I don't know about you, but that's pretty fucking impressive to have. So maybe he's the wisest one to be there. Who knows? It can't nothing past those reptilians. But so aside from all the politics, sorry, we went down that little bit.
Yeah, I don't know how we ended up there because that's normally where I wouldn't go. But hey,
that was one of my questions for you. So I mean, you went in there.
It's all good. So surfing, what got you? I mean, aside from Florida and all that, what got you into surfing? And
I have a great surfing story. Okay, so I started surfing when I was 12 years old. I moved to California. So obviously that's where I learned. Okay. And so I lived in Agoura Hills, Westlake, so used to go down the canyon to, Zuma Beach and all the famous beaches for surfing. And so that's where I learned. And then, got caught up in life and I didn't surf for 20, 30 years, busy raising kids, running a business, blah, 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 blah. So God has a sense of humor, and you'll find out why. So I started surfing again, and it's kind of like relearning again, especially here in Florida. It's very different, okay? So for those of you that don't know, California, the Pacific Ocean, if you are in the water, whether you're ready or not, the pressure of the water there is so strong, that wave's going to take you, and you better be ready because it ain't passing you by. Florida, I have literally been perfectly set for the wave, and it just passed me right by because the water is so soft in the Atlantic Ocean. They say if you can surf in Florida, you can surf anywhere. Number one, that's why what's his name is the champion because he surfed in Cocoa, and then and then of course we have the most sharks here. There's the most shark attacks in the world in Florida every year. Like New Smyrna Beach is considered the worst in the whole world. That is one place I will never go in the water, not even for anything, because like all that ever happens there is shark bites. Okay. So, I started surfing again and like getting my mojo back. And so then I started going different places to surf, and I went to Costa Rica and I was surfing there, which I love Costa Rica. I want to live there part of the year. It actually happened when Trump first got elected. I decided to go to Europe and Costa Rica for 4 months and just watch from afar to see what would happen. And I wanted to do it this time too, except COVID. So, it's a shame that now we can go to other countries. It's getting back. That's the problem.
Right.
Like I was supposed to go to Costa Rica right now, and I kind of backed out, and not because where I go is Nassau, it's dirt roads. They don't even have any COVID cases. But I was more worried about they're not going to let me back in the U.S. because now we have these restrictions, I
might be okay with that.
Yeah, I'm kind of okay with that too, but I want to do it on my terms, not the government's terms. Okay, yeah. But I might be okay with that anyway. And as a matter of fact, you'll see there. I had an opportunity to get stuck there, and unfortunately, I probably should have. But and then I go to Rincon, Puerto Rico, another place, and I was surfing with humpbacks underneath me during that season. So that was really cool. Then 2017, I took my son and his family to Hawaii, and we went over a pipeline. They had like 5-foot waves. It was insane. And then, I was surfing in Waikiki, and then about an hour later, I had a heart attack.
Oh my God.
Shit.
And so, it wasn't like what you get on the TV. It was like, I had to I went after surf. I went and got my grandkids some food with my daughter-in-law, and then I went and took a shower, and I had this like slight pain over here on my left arm. But the water is brutal in Hawaii, and you have to do a lot of paddling. So I figured I just like strained a muscle or something. I didn't have any of the dramatic crap you see on TV, and I just didn't feel right. So we were supposed to be going to Dole Plantation. So we leave. I let my son drive, which that should have been his first clue, because I was like, here, I just want to chill. And then we go somewhere to eat, and the food was brought in front of me, and I just couldn't eat. I just looked at it, and I was like, I couldn't eat. I went outside, and my son came out, and he was like, are you okay? And, we were talking about, he's like, and he goes, should we take you to get checked out? And I'm this total natural health type of person. Like I was diagnosed with diabetes 6 years ago and reversed it with just food, no meds. And so I answered him. Normally my thing would be like, fuck you, we're going to Dole Plantation. I'm not going to a hospital. Are you kidding me? So my answer was, I don't know. So that was his clue to take me. And so we went, and they diagnosed me, that I'm having a heart attack, blah, blah, blah. And they're going to send me to some other hospital to do a cardiac cath. Now, here's the funny thing, okay? This is why I can't stand Western medicine, okay? Nobody talks to me. The doctor doesn't talk to me. Nobody says nothing. It's just they're going to take me for this procedure and not fill me in on anything. And I never even saw a doctor. So I'm like, no. I'm going to, I want to talk to a cardiologist. And then my son was giving me a hard time. He's like, just do what they say, Dad. Like, no, I'm not just doing what they say. I want the cardiologist, and I want to find out all the information so I can make an intelligent decision. They are going inside me. And so finally, cardiologist comes by and gives me the whole scenario. I'm like, give me the worst case, best case. And he goes, best case, we go in there, you're fine, you go home. Worst case is you die when we're in there.
Okay.
And then he gives me all the cases in between. We could find a clog, put a stent in you, you could blah, 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 blah. So I'm like, okay, well, now I have all the information I can decipher and all this. And I asked a bunch of other questions. So I agree to do the procedure, but they're shipping me to another hospital. Now, this is the great thing. I smoked Marlboro Reds for 36 years. And it is funny, tied to surfing. I was thinking of quitting because I always said to myself, if it ever affected me physically, I would quit smoking. But I could still outskate, out-skateboard, out-swim, outrun my kids. So I never quit. You know, it didn't affect me. And so then when I started surfing again, I went out one day for 4 hours and I came back and I was like, I'm like, okay, maybe it's time to quit. Surfing's brutal. For anybody that doesn't know, like, have you ever seen an out of shape surfer?
No.
You know, I mean, it's a workout. If you
They're usually on the boogie boards or the skim boards falling on the beach.
Exactly. You know, and
that's me.
Well, the skimboard, maybe I gotta get if you're a good skimboarder, you know.
Oh man, no, not at all. Like I try to be, but like I just straight up like just eat shit. Like just I try, I go maybe like 4 inches and then it.
Yeah, well, I have, if you come down here, I have a chick I know here who has been on one of our shows and I'm friends with her now. She is a skimboarding champion. This chick's a badass.
Oh shit.
And basically, so like when you have the heart thing going on, they put you on blood thinners. And I just bought a skimboard. I wanted to learn how to skimboard for real. And she was like, yeah, you might want to wait because you're definitely going to bleed. You know?
Oh, shit.
And you know, if you're a real skimboarder, you're breaking bones and you're going to bleed. It's just that simple. She's like broken pretty much everything you can break. You know, it's not.
I'm glad I never got into it that much.
Yeah. So yeah, I had this procedure done. Now, before I'm going out for a procedure, like I said, the smoking. So I say to the nurse, I'm like, you're going to think I'm nuts, but you know what? I want to go out and have a cigarette. And so I had a psychology to this. Okay. So I was always a firm believer that to quit smoking, forget the Nicorette and the patches and all that stuff. That's all bull crap. You have to make the decision. The problem is most people are quitting because their spouse, boyfriend, girlfriend wants them to quit, or their family wants them to quit, or their friends want them to quit, or society wants them to quit. But nobody really wants to quit. Like I never wanted to quit cigarettes. Okay.
I never want to quit.
Exactly.
Telling me.
And you're part of a club. It's a bummer. I'm not in the club anymore. I got kicked out of the club. It sucks.
And you never get breaks if you stop smoking.
Yeah, exactly.
Right?
This is so true, man. When I was working out in the field, oh man, smoking gave you like 2 extra hours of break time.
Exactly. Now, what are you going to do? I'm going for a walk. Like what boss would say, okay, go for a walk. Go for a cigarette. You're cool.
Yeah.
You know, and so then they tried to do this whole thing. But see, in my head was I was going to quit on my terms. And the way I was thinking is, listen, it would be stupid for me to smoke after they clean me up. Like, first of all, if I'm going to die, what's one more cigarette? Okay. It's not going to hurt. I'm already here. Okay.
Sure.
But then if they fix me up and I'm all cleaned up, it'd be kind of stupid to start smoking again afterwards. And that's how I'd have to quit if I didn't do my last cigarette. So I'm trying to convince a nurse, and the nurse starts giving me a lecture. I'm 51 years old at the time. I'm like, listen, I'm 51. I've heard every lecture there is. Okay. I'm sitting here now because I didn't listen to the lectures.
You're right.
And then she starts to try to scare me. She's saying all this stuff to scare me, you know, and she's talking about the IV because they had a hard time getting it in. We'll have to take it out. We'll have to put it back in. And, you know, we'll probably have an even harder time getting it back in. I'm like, listen, lady, obviously you don't know a smoker. There's nothing you could possibly say that could scare me.
Right.
Nothing.
I'll take this out myself.
All right. Listen, us smokers, we're told we're going to get cancer, emphysema, heart attacks, die, and we still keep smoking. So listen, a little IV ain't going to bother me. Okay.
Yeah.
So then she's like, well, and then we'll have to she was trying everything. we'll have to discharge you and readmit you and blah, blah, blah. I'm like, do whatever you got to. But listen, I'm 51 years old. I'm going to go have this cigarette. I'm just giving you the courtesy of telling you. Either we do it the right way, or I'm just ripping this shit out and I'm walking out and having a cigarette.
And I'm having my bare ass hang out for all the patients to see.
And then she's like, well, okay, well, somebody will have to escort you outside. I'm like, fine, I don't care. Like I'm in prison or something.
Right.
And then she goes, do you promise to come back in? I'm like, listen, I promise, but I'm 51 years old. If I don't want to come back in, I don't have to come back in. Like my promise ain't going to mean shit.
Yeah.
So I did. I went outside, smoked my last cigarette right up to, there was no white left, like right up to the filter. And in my mind, this was my last cigarette, put it out. I even had 6 packs of cigarettes because they're expensive as hell in Hawaii. You know, like they're like, at that time, they were like $15 a pack in Hawaii. So I bought them in Florida where you could get them at Walgreens, 2 packs of Marlboro Reds for $6. So I loaded up. I never threw away that 6 packs of cigarettes because, again, psychological. You're a smoker, you get it. If you have no cigarettes, you start jonesing, you're going to a store and buying a pack and you'll smoke it. Yeah. But if I knew I had it and I could have it anytime and it was my choice, that was the mental thing I did. And I literally for 2 years kept those cigarettes in a cabinet. And they were just there. And I haven't had a smoke again since that day. So life took a turn. God has a sense of humor. I know it's a long story, but it's a good one. And I'm a storyteller,
Of course.
I bet it. It's a good story. I like it.
As a speaker and a radio personality, like, I guess it comes naturally. So then you go through, when you have these, and they put a stent in, when you have this, you go through like a year of rehabilitation. You got to take these stupid freaking meds, which I'm so anti-big pharma, it's ridiculous. But then I also realized I'm smart enough to know they put something fake in my body. Natural medicine will not treat something fake.
Right.
So, okay, I'll do what you say. And a year goes by and I never really felt right either. Like everybody says, oh, you'll get this done. You'll feel 20 years younger. I'm like, I felt 20 years younger already. Now I feel 20 years older. And because before the heart attack, I was like, people used to be like, you're like the Energizer that's in the bunny. I could outdo anybody at anything. I had unbalanced energy, never slept, just kept going. And so year goes by, the doctor clears me, the cardiologist clears me. Okay, you're good. Blah, 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 takes me off meds. So I'm like, hell yeah, I'm going to Costa Rica and I'm going surfing. I was not scared at all. Like, it's like, I'm doing it again. So we go to Costa Rica. I meet my, my brother, sister-in-law there. We went to one part, which is in Manuel Antonio. And then we were supposed to go another place called Avida. And then my favorite place I always go to, Nasara, which is like a surf and yoga mecca of the world. Nice. Best sunsets you ever saw in your life. Like people go down there 2 hours before sunset, as a religious experience. It's like amazing.
Now wait, you're close to Sanibel Island. Have you ever been to Sanibel?
I have.
Because that's the one island I love because you can go from one end, watch it rise, do some shit throughout the island, go to the other end and watch it set. I love that.
Yeah, that's cool. That is cool as hell. And I actually have the benefit where I live here that I can see the sunset right out my window. And in the front, I can see the sunrise if I wake up to go see it.
Yeah, it's the waking up to see this hard part.
It's not like Sanibel, but, Costa Rica has that. I don't know if you ever heard of it, when the kind of sunset where when it hits the horizon, there's like this green glow.
Yeah. How it hits that curvature of the that rounder.
Shut up.
The place that the flat earthers don't believe exists.
Yeah. No, I'm just poking fun because Jen talks to a lot of flat earthers. It's funny.
I do. I have a fun time talking about flat earth.
Yeah, I mean, it's always an entertaining conversation.
How come we haven't heard of anybody falling off the earth yet then?
Because there's an ice wall, guys.
I don't know. I'm still hoping that we're really just on the back of some like super cosmic turtle just fucking flying through space.
We're some aliens ant farm is what we are.
Oh, yeah.
It's a good band.
100%. We are like, just like it was in Men in Black, you know, we're like the marble that the alien like flicks at the end or whatever. We're just controlled.
Yeah. Forgot to.
Well, and you know, just seeing how we acted through this whole pandemic is the exact reason why I do believe the government should not tell us everything. Because could you imagine if the government came out and said, okay, yeah, you're right. There are aliens walking among us.
They are saying that.
Yeah. So,
well, not they're walking among us yet, but they're going to.
Oh, right. Yeah.
Well, but the point is, you know how we are. Now we're going to start shooting everybody thinking they're an alien. They blink and they're a reptilian. Okay.
Well, I don't know, because you got to think COVID was announced and everyone went out and bought fucking toilet paper. So that was utterly useless in that situation. So people might just go out and start buying fucking mayonnaise or something. Who knows? Like at this point, like if they hear about aliens, they're not going to do anything logical.
All we need is somebody like David Icke to come out and say mayonnaise will kill all the aliens. And that's exactly what will happen. Everybody will go and buy mayonnaise.
Or it's going to be like hurricanes throughout the world where everyone's going out buying water because of the movie Signs.
Oh, yeah.
Where the water was like burning the alien skin. They're like, oh, it's water. Everyone's going to be out buying like the little Nerf water guns and all sorts of things.
I want to know what everybody's doing with the toilet paper now, though. That's what I want to know.
It's on eBay.
Yeah.
They engraved the inside of the toilet paper roll, COVID 2020 roll.
Well, and you know what? Maybe they're making a piece of art, digital artwork out of it and selling it as an NFT for $69 million.
That's
probably. You know,
those NFTs are going crazy.
Back when toilet paper was like scarce, because of course in Dallas, like everybody and their mom went and bought toilet paper and we could not find it. My husband would be like waiting in line for when the shipment would come in, and they would, you know, it'd be like 3 hours at Walmart. He was sitting there and then, oh wait, look, there's no toilet paper on the freaking truck or whatever. So I ordered on Amazon some like ridiculously priced toilet paper that wasn't going to make it here till May. But I was like, whatever, we're still probably going to need it. So I ordered it anyways. And I shit you not, the stuff comes in and it is like receipt paper rolls. And the thing cost me like 24 freaking bucks for 12 rolls of this receipt paper. So I kept them as a novelty item because I'm like, not going to wipe with that because who does? But
that's miniature toilet paper.
Yeah. I was like, how do you even charge people like that?
Well, yeah, that's something that would happen in Florida all day, every day. Okay. Like, we're that place.
See, I'm envious of y'all living in Florida because I love true crime, and you guys have the craziest true crime stories out there. People are so shit crazy, man.
True crime is nice from a distance.
I'm only like an hour and a half away from Dexter.
You know, my son's name is Dexter.
Wait, really? the guy who plays Dexter?
Well, no.
Or just the location?
Yeah, where it was all filmed.
Oh, that's awesome. That's an amazing show. Fucking love it.
It is totally. Like, I am totally madly in love with, what's her name? The last one he was with.
Delilah?
Oh, Lumen. Lumen?
No, after Lumen.
After Lumen.
I can't believe I'm drawing a blank right now. Anna McKay.
Yes.
I am madly
you guys are naming like their real names. I don't fucking know.
You know why I'm madly in love with her? I'll tell you. Okay, because, for anybody who watches Dexter, he has these 4 relationships. The first one is a really nice girl that he could only show. He had both sides. He had the good and dark side, so he could only show his good side to her, never his dark side. And he always had to hide that.
Yeah.
Then that second crazy woman who only wanted the dark side, but not the good side. And then there was Lumen that could have been perfect, except she was temporary. Yeah. Like, she solved her problem. She didn't need that anymore. But Anna McKay was the one that I always say, to find the right one to spend your life with is the one who you could be inside your head. Like, we all have this person inside our head that really nobody knows. Mm-hmm. And so that's who Dexter could be with Anna McKay. She embraced both the light and the dark of him. And I say embrace because it's not even a matter of, okay, I can tolerate it. I think somebody should embrace your darkness.
Oh, yeah. She was into it.
Oh, So, you remember towards the end, what happens is, okay, and too bad if I'm spoiling it for you people that haven't even binge watched it yet, but like the show's been out forever.
Yeah, they're never going to. It's fine.
Except they do have a new one coming out.
I know.
For that.
Wait,
They have a new season coming out. I, in fact, had Lorna Osunshami. She's a writer for Dexter. I had her on my other podcast, and
oh, nice.
I was like, what the fuck happened with the ending, dude? It was the shittiest thing that's ever happened. And she said they got new writers or new producers, and they wanted to make a movie afterwards. And so they did that ending, and then now they're doing another season. They never did the movie. So I don't even know who's writing this one.
And he finally decided he didn't want to do it ever for years. They kept wanting to do another season, and he wouldn't do it. So he finally decided. I don't know why. But yeah, I mean, I'm excited about it. But if you notice, remember, because she totally embraced everything about him and he didn't have to hide anything, not his good side, his bad side, nothing, he lost the urge to kill people. It was the solution.
But then he ran away.
Huh?
But then he ran away or supposedly died or whatever.
Yeah, well, then all that tragic crap happened and he took off. But
so you're saying you need to find somebody who's fully accepting to be your true self?
Yeah, because listen, how many of us in relationships are never really 100% our true self? And I also believe, fuck the being in the beginning on your best behavior. Be on your worst behavior in the beginning, because of course I'm going to like your best behavior. I want to see what I'm in for, okay? Because it's
a crazy bitch.
Yeah, it's coming. Listen, I have a sign in my bedroom that 2 of my daughters bought for me, and it says, "My next wife won't be crazy."
If she's a woman, she will be.
Yeah, they're talking about their own mother, okay? So I had to pull them aside and I had to fill them in. I'm like,
it's an amazing gift, but don't do it.
No, I said, I hate to tell you this, but I wouldn't bet on that. First of all, every female friend I have that I know, and I have a lot of them throughout my lifetime, they all admit it, that you're all crazy. Okay.
Yep. That's what I said. The first step to being a mature woman and finding a man for yourself is admitting the crazy and honing in on the crazy, and then thinking about the crazy before you do the crazy.
Right. And then having the guy that embraces the crazy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean,
can you handle it?
Exactly. I can handle as crazy gets. I mean, I've lived it. I don't even think there is crazier enough out there for me, to be honest.
I don't know.
Yeah. Have you ever seen that video of the hot and crazy scale that the guy had?
Yeah, that's great.
This is your unicorn zone.
I don't like that though, because it's hairstylists are definitely he straight up calls us out.
He hits a nail on the head.
Well, it is kind of true. I've had a thing my whole life for hairstylists and servers and bartenders.
They're all crazy.
There you go. Just proof in point right there. It is. Even my kids on us are like, "Geez, Dad."
So, Jen, you looking to move to Florida and hang out with the Pipeman?
Yeah, let them lay some pipe.
Yeah, listen. Funny you should say that.
How many people say that to you, by the way?
Well, the funniest thing that you said that is that I had this one band. I have it recorded somewhere. I did an interview because I go across the whole country on tour doing music festivals and radio coverage. Of course, that's pre-COVID, that's before Christ or something. Right. Basically I had one band that after the interview, they made up a song right then and there about the Pipeman. And they wrote this song right then and there and sung it on the interview. And one of the lines was Pipeman, he lays some pipe, Pipeman.
I was just hoping you were cool enough for me to say it, because all day I was thinking the pipe man. Somebody has got to always tell him something about laying pipe, because, I mean, who doesn't, it just.
Well, it's funny because I'm one of those interviewers. I interview over 2,000 like music artists, rock stars and stuff like that. And I never ask how they got their band name. Like, I just want to give advice for all you podcasters in the world, all you interviewers in the world. If you want to have a shitty interview with a band, ask how they got their band name. They're so sick of that shit. Nobody cares. It's not important.
I've asked this a few times.
Shit.
But here's what's funny, and it just happened to me yesterday. They always ask me where I got my name. Like, it's so funny. The one taboo question they always ask me that you shouldn't ask them. It's so funny.
It's not because you have a pipe?
Well, yeah, they say that one too. They say to lay your pipe. The funny part is my last name's Piper, and so
yeah. Here's
how the Pipe Man developed. And then we'll get back to the surfing, because there's a finale to the surfing story. So I'm a motivational speaker, and I also used to be very big in the investment business, like the Wolf of Wall Street. I knew him personally. It was my competition.
Nice.
That movie is not an exaggeration, by the way. Just saying.
I'm sure.
And I don't know if you've ever watched the movie Boiler Room, but that movie is about the same firm, but it was from one of the salespeople that worked for him's perspective instead of his perspective.
Interesting.
Yeah, and it's pretty on point. Like, Boiler Room came out while I was in the business, and even my kids were like, they're like, Dad, did they like interview you for that movie? Because the legit side and the non-legit side of that business uses the same sales pitch, says the same things. You said, listen, the best con artists have to sound exactly like the real thing,
Of course.
So I used to do radio shows for my investment business, and I did radio shows for my motivation stuff. So all my shows were always serious, And then I had this one relationship show years ago, and basically I handpicked 3 co-hosts. Now me, Dean, not Pipe Man, but Dean is the guy that always got friend zoned when I was younger. I was always the guy that was told you're too nice. I mean, like, shit, my first ex-wife, she broke up with me in the beginning because I was too nice. And at the end of the marriage, she goes, hey, I really hope you find what you're looking for. You're like the most romantic person I've ever met in my life. I'm just not into that. Well, thanks, okay. 4 kids. Well, thanks 4 kids later for telling me that. But anyway, so what happened is I picked I picked 2 females, one that was this conservative married woman, like as stuffed shirt as they come. And then this other woman who was also married, but she was a Latina, and a wild Latina, the epitome of the woman player. Okay. And then I picked this other guy to come on who was the epitome of the guy player. 40 years old, never goes on a second date unless he has sex on the first date, never had a relationship longer than a year. And then I played like myself, that, too nice, friend zone,
hopeless,
embarrassment. And exactly. At one time, he had to leave the show. Now, Pipe Man was a nickname of mine, like way back. But this is where Pipe Man resurfaced. Because the other guy had to leave the show, and I decided, you know what? Instead of replacing him, like, going on the radio is playing a role, okay? And so it's like, I'll just play both roles. And the Pipe Man was born. And Pipe Man is definitely the alter ego. Pipe Man became a very good social experiment because, when you're that nice guy, you're always like, why do these women always pick the frickin' jerks? I don't get it, And it's not being narcissistic. It's like you're sitting there doing nice stuff and the other person's beating the shit out of them, and that's the one they love. It's like you just scratch your head. But being Pipeman was a very aha moment because Pipeman is that jerk off. Okay. And it was like, holy shit, this is how the other half lives. I mean, it's so extreme that I have a commercial on my radio show. It's called the Pipeman Groupon. And so a lot of Pipeman references also Dark Knight, not Batman, but Dark Knight. I'm more about Dark Knight. And like, I am absolutely madly in love. My number one love of life is Harley Quinn. So there you go with the crazy shit. And so I call where I live the Pipe Cave. And so this Groupon is basically, it's a new bed and breakfast, normally $199 a night, now $99 a night if you book during the show. And basically you come to the Pipe Cave, you service the Pipe Man all night long, you serve the Pipe Man breakfast, and then you leave. And women actually call into the show to buy this fake Groupon. It blows my freaking mind. Why didn't somebody tell me this when I was 16? I don't know.
So I'm hoping like you've actually made this a real Groupon by now and you make this happen.
It's a little scary. I've had stalkers outside, but luckily I have a security gate. Yeah, no, like it's kind of scary sometimes. You're the Pipe Man in a fucking pipe cave. Man. Come on.
I would argue that the woman actually is the Pipe Cave.
That's a good point.
Just saying. I'm sorry, I couldn't hold back.
Yeah, I mean, that's a great point. I love that point. I'll tell you what's even sicker, though. So my daughter was working for me, and one day her mother calls her up one day, and we're divorced like 10 years at this point. She's like, what happened to your father? I was married to him for 12 years. He was never that obnoxious. And she tells her she was listening to my radio show. And she goes, he's such a player now. And then she tried to reconcile with me.
Of course.
Because she thought now I finally became the player that she wanted.
I don't get it. Like, it is weird.
Like, I just sit here and go, so more and more as the years go by, it's kind of like Killer Frost and Caitlin in The Flash. Like, Dean's getting killed off and written off the show. I'm just telling you. It's a lot more fun to be Pipe Man.
Yeah.
Sounds like it. Are you a Gemini?
I'm a Libra, and I'm a total Libra. And couldn't you tell that by being a liberal conservative? And let me define that for your listeners. I've never voted Democratic in a presidential election in my whole life. I do lean more right in certain things, but so my thing is this. I also have liberal viewpoints. I'm fiscally conservative, socially liberal. So I do believe in trickle-down economics. I do believe in lower taxes. I do believe in deregulation. I do believe in small government. And I do believe in entrepreneurs and independence and all that stuff. I personally don't believe I would want to have an abortion or somebody I'm with, but I also believe I don't have the right to tell you what to do. Now, everybody wants to put a label on shit. I am anti-label. I'm like the label Nazi, just like genres. I hate, we have 10 million genres. It's ridiculous.
Fucking hate labels too.
Why do I have to be boxed in? Why do I have to pick a side like I'm picking a kickball team? Okay.
I mean, that's the problem with everything now is like, now you're only one of two things instead of like one of 15.
It's almost.
I know unless it's about your gender, then you're one of 15.
Right.
Yeah. It's almost a natural psychology that was like the mob mentality that people have. And they have to get behind something, and they can't just take a step back, kind of reevaluate everything or themselves and their own thoughts. Instead, they're just going with whatever.
Yeah,
because they learn from memes now.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, it's ridiculous. Like, please, memes are made up. What the hell is wrong with you people?
I'm like, if you're going to regurgitate a bunch of memes at me, please don't. And I'll just go back to Facebook and, do my thing.
Please, guys, read about KGB and how things like that exist.
It's unbelievably ridiculous how people are. It's like you're falling for the oldest trick in the book, divide and conquer, okay? And why do we have to vote red all the way down the line? Why do we have to vote blue all the way down the line? Why don't you know the name of the candidate first? I mean, really, seriously. Like these people don't even know the name of it. And why do I have to be? I'm total Libra. I can see both sides of everything, And so it's like, somebody will try to pin me. Well, then you're pro-life. Well, then you're pro-choice. No, I'm neither. I guess I'm partly pro-life and I'm partly pro-choice. It's like,
I am a complex individual and I demand to not have to have a fucking label, goddammit. I'm a human.
And you know what? The fact of the matter is, if everybody in the world would just throw away all these labels, whatever the labels are, it doesn't matter what it was, and just be you. Like, just be you. If you feel like you're this, then be that. Why do you have to put a label on it? Why does there have to be a whole big gadilla about it? Just be you.
Because they told me I had to.
Yeah. And you know what? We're all individuals. We all have different experiences. We all have different variables. We have all different upbringings. Like you can't even pinpoint. It's just like the same thing. We could be talking here. Okay. I'm in Florida. I'm from New Jersey originally. I'm from California in high school. You're in Texas. Those are all very different places, like with very different upbringings, very different philosophies, even within your own state, just like here. Somebody from Dallas is not the same as somebody from Houston, as San Antonio, as El Paso, as Austin, like totally different people, And so why are we putting people in such a generic box? Same thing is, I'm very pro-business.
Because of this.
Yeah.
YouTube, TikTok, consuming everyone else's thoughts.
Listen, I just did a post recently going along with that. And my post said, I want some information about it, and only from scientists, people in the medical field, and virologists of what you think of the vaccine, both good and bad. And I'm like, I don't want any opinions. I don't want any Facebook and book certified viral specialists.
Yeah. All these celebrities now think they're fucking endorsers and have this power.
Yeah, totally. It's stupid. And it's like same thing we were talking about the president thing. It's like, I want peer-reviewed, documented research of why you feel the way you do, no opinions. Yep. Now, if I had put a post up there of, what do you think about the vaccine? Everybody has this opinion and I'll put it in there and it'll be like a viral post.
Mm-hmm.
But I wanted to prove a point. I posted it the way I did. 0 comments.
Yep.
0.
You know what got me off of Facebook was the last thing I did was answer one of those, how a question will pop up and say, like, it said, are you going to get the vaccine? And then you slide it to see the answer. And I put no. And that post got so hateful. I literally had a guy that just ripped me a new one saying that I was spreading all this false information. And now I'm making others not want to get it. And I'm like, first off, who the hell am I to anybody listen to me? Nobody listens to me like that. But also I get to say I don't want the damn thing without explaining myself to you or it being propaganda. I don't know. It rubbed me the wrong way. I lost friends off of it, which was ridiculous. And then I was like, I'm done. I'm done with Facebook. I'm not doing it anymore. And I barely do it. I do it to, spread the word about things promotionally, but that's it.
And the tough part and for somebody like me that I'm explaining that I'm on both sides, is that my Facebook's pretty split down the middle, especially coming from the investment business. There's going to be a lot of right wingers. Yeah. And being in the radio business and the music business, there's a lot of left wingers. So no matter what I say, I'm hated. It doesn't matter.
Right.
I'm hated if I say hello. What do you mean hello? You're not supposed to say hello today.
You're supposed to say hi.
You offended me with that.
Yep. It's pretty insane nowadays, and it's almost like walking on eggshells most of the time, unless you're on a really nice sandy beach and with the constant fucking breeze. I don't think I've seen that tree stop moving.
I know,
You know what's
right?
funny? It is exactly the way it is outside like that. It's always, see, that's one of the things. You live in Florida, you
get
know,
the nice
but you're a
breeze,
little
ocean
north.
breeze.
I lived out in Wellington for a long time, and that's where my studios are. And that's out by the Everglades, and it's hot as fuck every single day of my life out there. And the bugs, like, it's just, listen, you can't walk outside and not get bit 100 times by a mosquito.
Yeah,
It's just here. It's like I don't even live in Florida here. There's always a breeze. It's never that hot. And I never have any bugs around me. It's like the weirdest thing in Florida. I'll tell you how breezy it is that I got these new rollerblades. So I have hockey skates that I normally skate on, but I wanted to get these off-road ones. They have off-road ones that have wheels like this big, and they're taller because they're that big, and it's only 3 wheels instead of 4.
Yeah.
I've never ridden them before, and they're much hard, and they're much faster, much harder to ride. So I bought them, and the first day I got them, it was windy outside, as it always is. So I put them on, you know, in my condo, and I go down the elevator, and I go out the door, and next thing you know, I'm flying into the wall. I didn't even start skating yet because the wind brought me. Now here, I didn't know this ahead of time, but because of the way the wheels are on those, you can't turn and you can't do a hockey stop. Like my hockey skates have no brakes.
Yeah.
Because I do a hockey stop. You can't do them on these. I tried to turn and I was still heading for the wall. I'm like, oh shit, what do I do? You know, so yeah, that's about constant every day here is that, you know, hurricanes are no big deal because like we're in Florida, but you know, it's like, I can't tell you how many times I have to bring my furniture off the balcony because in the middle of the night, I hear it flying across the balcony.
Damn. I get it. I mean, I got a funny story. During Hurricane Charlie, I was in middle school, and we were kind of like in the eye of the storm. So everything kind of settled down, and I was like, all right, I'm going to go outside for a little bit and go skate. So I went skateboarding around, and I saw my neighbor. They had like those turtle sandboxes. The little shell of it had blown off into the street. So I grab it and I start skating over to their house, and all of a sudden the fucking wind just like lifted me off my board. I'm holding this giant shell thing, and I like go flying up and then slam into the ground. And I was like, whoa, I didn't even think that could happen. Like, what the fuck?
You know what? That video would be perfect on ridiculousness.
Right?
Yes.
The fucking I honestly, like, probably nobody was out on the street at that time. Nobody was. I was just me being some dumbass outside. My mom was mad at me that I went out, but I did it anyway.
That's a Florida thing, though. Like, I remember during, what was it, Francis, and what was the other one in the same month? And we were the epicenter. Wellington was the epicenter. My neighbor was out in his truck in the middle of the road, like hanging out, listening to music while we're in the, like, major part of the hurricane.
Yeah, that's a Florida mentality. Well, hurricanes don't scare us. And listen, it's so funny because they were saying like 2020 was going to be the worst fucking season Florida's ever witnessed, and we got like nothing.
And then you sent it to Texas, and we had like a freaking ice storm.
Yeah.
Out of nowhere.
Yeah, well,
you guys froze over.
You know, the bad part is when us in Florida, when we pray that the hurricane doesn't hit us, that's every time Louisiana gets destroyed, which just proves and I have a studio in Louisiana. It just proves Louisiana is Sodom and Gomorrah of 2021.
There you go. I mean, that's a good way to look at it, I guess. One way.
Listen, if you're praying to God that it doesn't hit your state and then it destroys Louisiana, it means God's smiting Louisiana. Let's call it what it is.
I like the theory.
Yeah.
Steal that, actually. I'm going to write it down.
So,
there you go.
I wanted to ask, what got you into like radio and all of that? Like what started you off in that career, in that direction?
So like I said, when I was in the investment business, I used to pay to have a radio show to, you know, get leads for my investment business. And then I did it for the motivational speaking. And the last radio station I was at was in the beginning of internet radio. And this dude had it, like, you're talking about somebody that was a Wall Streeter, you know, a metalhead, yeah, but a Wall Streeter. Yeah. And that basically, you know, my idea is go into a studio. I was going into studios in New York, like the fanciest radio studios. And this guy had a studio in his house. The studio table was the dining room table. The cat was walking around, dogs walking around. But I had this vision of where everything's going. And this is before there was a such thing as a word called a podcast. Yeah. And when internet radio was really nothing. But I had a vision that that's where it was all going. Like, I saw it. I always kind of made it like, I'm Bill Gates, the rest of them are IBM. And the beauty is I didn't come from the radio business. So I didn't suffer what a lot of people still suffer to this day, what I call WKRP and Cincinnati syndrome. And if you know that show, okay, it's a show from the 70s making fun of radio. And I bring that up because there's so many people from that world and from the terrestrial world and the pre-internet world that still want to hold on to something that does not exist anymore, you know? And so basically, but what I did think was it wasn't going to become big this way, meaning sitting at this dude's house, you know? Like, I was embarrassed to bring a guest or something like that. I'm like, if you're going to do it, run it like a real radio station. You have real studios, professional engineers, not some idiot running the board that don't even know anything but to switch the board on. And, you know, pay your licensing, pay royalties, do it like just like a terrestrial station, but just use the internet. And do live remotes and do everything that a real radio station would do. So that's what I did. I went and I started my own radio station when we were in the worst economy in U.S. history at the time, when basically I just went through the worst part of my life. I went from making $150,000 a month in the investment business to being broke, homeless, and having nothing. And that's when I decided to open my own radio station. And so, but I got real studios. I got professional engineers that knew what they were doing, you know, Oralex like you have on the wall, you know, and you know, real equipment, state-of-the-art equipment, not even like how the podcasters are nowadays where, oh, let's go buy this $50 mic and we're good to go, you know. And you know, it's funny too, because I had texted Eileen earlier. I'm like, is it audio or video tonight? Because I was trying to find video I didn't see, and like, I'm going to use a different setup if it's not video, because you know, I have I would do my studio version with my mic and mixer board and everything, but with the video I don't do that unless I'm in my studio. But I'm at home now, so yeah. I was like, okay, cool. I'll just do I like it this way. It's easier, you know. I don't have to worry about the mic or anything. Or, yeah, I mean, and so I just started doing it. But I did everything like an FM station would. I was out everywhere doing live remotes at events, and I was all over the place. And to the point where I was catching the, you know, ears of other people, to where I had a friend that worked at CBS Radio, and she came to me and they're like, my bosses want to hire you to do a sales training because apparently you've ruffled some feathers, and all the salespeople are coming back and saying, who is this internet radio dude? He keeps stealing all our business. Nice. And you know, it blew their mind that somebody doing internet radio, like, God forbid, you know, like, we're the real radio people type of thing. And then, you know,
everybody loves new things.
We had the Buzz down here was a radio station. They used to do these morning invasions at businesses. And I knew people there, so I used to do morning invasions of their morning invasion. You know, and we just did all that cool stuff. And then, so that's what got me into it. Now, I certainly now am worlds apart from there. We have multiple radio stations, highly ranked. Like I said, we're all licensed. We pay royalties, so we do it the right way. We have our own podcasting network. We also have a TV station, but we also have a partnership with iHeartRadio, Pandora, Spotify, Amazon Music, Audible, and then we distribute to like 100 other outlets that we're associated with. But the iHeart one is the one that came first because Pandora just entered podcasting. So, and basically to me, Spotify's new in podcasting, but they are about to overtake Apple. I was always never like putting podcasts on Apple, and I do now. But in the beginning, I never did. I only put that.
Shut up.
Yeah, exactly. And because everybody else could do it, there's 2 million podcasts on Apple, and like 99% of them suck.
But okay, my thing with Apple is though, it's the only platform that I know of anyways, where they actually rate and review and you can see the ratings and reviews. And I hate that about Spotify or the other.
That's the bad thing. We don't want their opinions to affect them though. We just want them to dive in.
Yeah, there you go.
I
go on Apple now. It's the same thing. I have an iPhone. I used to be all Android, and like somehow you get converted and go to the dark side.
And then you never go back.
I mean, honestly, I post just about all our episodes are everywhere via Apple, Spotify, Pandora, everything. Because I mean, I figure as to make it as convenient as possible for the listener or the viewers, and
well, that's where you got to be now. Nowadays, That's where you got to be. In the old days, before it was a thing, the exclusivity is what made it thing. And back then, there was exclusivity of getting on iHeart. You'll love the story of how the partnership formed with iHeart. It's the classic poke the bear and stand up to the bear, and the bear will back down story. So it's actually pretty funny because in my town, there's somebody who lives there that you might know. His name is Vanilla Ice.
Yes.
So somebody
I've heard of him.
So now I'm from the 80s, thrash metalhead punker, okay? Did not have any respect for Vanilla Ice. And so somebody comes to me and goes, hey, you should have Vanilla Ice on your show. And I looked at him and rolled my eyes and I'm like, why? And they're like, well, he does this event down in downtown West Palm Beach, a Toys for Tots event. It's coming up in a couple of weeks. Why don't you go check it out and then you tell me why? Okay, I'll humor you. I went down and I was like, holy fuck, there's 50,000 people here for Vanilla Ice. How did that happen?
People like him.
And that's why I found out. He had the #1 single in Europe. I didn't know about his DIY show, which is really popular, which I've been on now because I'm friends with Rob now. But so what happened is I'm a trustee in the chamber in our town, the town where he lives in, and we decided to put on this event called Winterfest, which is a music festival. And he was going to perform there. So I was broadcasting live, and I made a deal that he would do an interview with me at the event. And he kept trying to sit down and do an interview, and his manager kept pulling him away in different directions to do other things every time. And at the end of the day, his manager comes up to me and is like, sorry, dude, he has another event. He's not going to be able to do the interview. And I look up and I see him run across the amphitheater field, sit in my chair, and he's like, don't listen to him. I promised you an interview. I'm giving you an interview. So right there, I gained massive respect right off the bat. He didn't have to do that,
Yeah. Awesome.
So then he invites me to live broadcast. We get friendly. He invites me to live broadcast as Toys for Tots event, which was going to be in 2 weeks. And okay, cool. So the first year I go down there and I'm setting up and I'm getting my radio equipment out of the car and he's helping me. And I have Slipknot blasting and he's headbanging. So I look at him, up at him. I'm like, I roll my eyes. I'm like, really? And he's like, no, you don't get it, man. This is my jam. I help them to get signed. I'm totally into metal, and okay. And so then we did that year. The second year, he invites me back, and I set up, and this lady comes over to me. Turns out she's a huge director at Clear Channel. This is before iHeartRadio was a thing. And she comes up to me and she goes, "You're going to need to take your booth down and leave." Now, being a Wall Streeter, I dealt with people like that all the time. I ran in the Trump circle. So, I know what these people are like, and so I tried to play nice guy at first and appeal to the ego. I'm like, it's no big deal. I'm not your competition. I'm just some little internet radio station. You're Clear Channel. She's like, "No, you are our competition because we're iHeartRadio." And that's when it first started. I was like, in my head, I was like, holy shit. Like, they're threatened by me. That's a trip.
Hell yeah.
And then
Now
I'm like, well,
the power.
yeah. And then I'm like, well, we can work together, I don't care. I'll send people your booth. She's like, "No, you need to take this booth down now and leave." So then I knew that nice guy stuff wasn't going to work. So now I kick into.
So now the Pipeman came out.
Well, it wasn't Pipeman. It was more like Trump type of stuff came out, that level. And it was like, listen, Rob invited me here. If he wants me to leave, I'll leave. I'm not leaving because you told me to leave.
Yeah.
Oh man, she had smoke coming out of her ears, just like you saw in the cartoons. What happened next? I respect Rob for the rest of my life ever because he didn't have to do it. Nobody would ever have to do it. But what happened was she goes up on the stage and she's saying to me, like, "We pay him and we pay for this event and we don't want you here, blah, 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 blah." So, and she was right. Like, if he would have came over and said to leave, I would have definitely left. I mean, they're paying him,
Right.
So I hear over the mic, he's doing a sound check. She goes up on the stage and he goes, "Get the fuck off of my stage and leave my fucking radio station alone." I'm like, ooh. And then he takes her upstairs. There's a club there called Feel Goods. It used to be Feel Goods, not now, but it was owned by Vince Neil. And takes her, and then she comes down and apologizes to me. And then he pulls me aside. He brings me over to his VIP area, and he says, "Here, broadcast from here tonight instead."
Wow.
So I'm like, that's cool. And then the next year, he comes up to me at my event. He goes, "You're going to come back to my event again, right? Listen, I kicked Clear Channel out this year. I don't put up with that corporate bullshit. I don't like the way they treated you." And so he didn't have to do that. That was a payday for him. So mass respect. He was a true artist and not about the business. Now, here's the best part. Then I get a call. "Yeah, we've been listening to your station for the past year, and we're coming up with this new thing. It's called iHeart Talk. And basically, we're looking to compete with Pandora and that, and we're going to be the only ones doing like podcast stuff out there, on the major like things. And we like your content. We like how your sound quality. We're very particular about our brand, and we want to partner with you, and you beta test this thing for us." So there's the example. Stand up to a big bad wolf. As long as you got something to back it up. See, that's the thing too. I'm a big believer. Listen, I grew up in Jersey. You don't open your mouth unless you got something to back up. I got the shit kicked out of me all over the parking lot one day for opening my mouth to my next door neighbor. I was in middle school and I walked in my house. My dad was watching out the window the whole time, and he goes, "You deserved it. He was 2 times your size. You're opening your mouth like you're going to kick his ass. He should have done worse to you." And so that's the point. You do still have to have something to back it up, which I did. high quality content and high quality production. But
Absolutely.
I stood up to Big Bad Wolf and ended up, on the same team.
That's awesome. And
So
inspiring.
If you can't beat them, join them.
I said it's inspiring. I like it.
Yeah, there you go. And it's like, it should be inspiring to everybody, fuck this pandemic, fuck everything else.
Yeah.
And it's just, you know what? We do live in the United States of America, and regardless of who's president or what, you still have the opportunity to do anything you put your mind to it, and stop letting people put these labels on you that make you believe that you can't, and stop thinking of all the reasons why things can't happen and think of the reasons why they can. Because you know what? There were some major opportunities came about during this pandemic, and either you took advantage of them or you bitched about the pandemic and the politics and all that other stuff. I choose to move forward. And you know what? Because at the end of the day, I ain't going to be able to change any of these situations, only my outlook to it and what I do about it. And you know what? In 54 years of living, I don't think any president of the United States has ever really changed my life that drastically.
I kept saying that. I'm like, it's not going to do anything. When they change seats, nothing's going to happen. I mean,
they're just a figurehead.
Yeah.
Exactly.
They're not running the country. I
They're
mean,
the puppet.
And I love your outlook on life and everything about it. And I definitely like the positivity you put. And I could have sworn you said somewhere in there you're going to tell Rob to come on the Mindless Morning Show. That's pretty cool. So
we can try. We can try. He's tough.
Hey, man.
We're rooting for like a Justin Bieber guest, if you know him.
He's so freaking busy for sure.
Well, you let him know we're the second best. I won't say we're better than you. That's fine. Well,
there you go.
You can say we're the second best, and we're more than happy to have Vanilla Ice. And I promise I won't tell my mom about it so she doesn't try and commandeer the Zoom.
Yeah, right. He is a really cool dude, though. We've become friends, and like my whole image has changed. He hates the fact that he's looked at as that 80s doofus that he was.
I love it.
I always liked his show, his music, but he had a show where he was like kind of building like doing projects around houses. I don't remember if it was.
Does.
Oh, he does. Okay, sure.
That's the show I've been on. It's like a very popular show.
Oh, I had no idea he was still doing it because I don't have cable or anything anymore, and like I haven't for fucking years, so I haven't really kept up with what's in now still.
Yeah, he does it as a side, his side partner on that project is West Kane Mafia, who I'm also close friends with. Those two are like tight together, and West Kane's pretty cool dude too, and it's a cool show. I had fun. They invited me to be on it. And he does do some cool shit down here, and it's all down here, so he finds these pieces of real estate, redoes them, and he redoes them in a Vanilla Ice way. So it's got some cool, custom.
Yeah, he's got some snazzy shit he puts in there. He does some really badass stuff with some of the pools I've seen.
Yeah, and he's very serious about it, okay? Even though it's a show, he's very particular about the actual work, and he's definitely a hard ass about it. He's a perfectionist.
I can totally respect that.
After?
Say that again?
Does he sell the homes afterwards? It's like a flip a home kind of thing?
Yep.
Okay.
That's really cool.
They're
I would
always
totally.
these cool, huge homes on the water and stuff like that. It's pretty cool.
I would totally love for you to lay the pipe down and just send anyone else our way. You let me know, man.
Well, you know
Josh
what,
would like to be your pipe cave.
Yes, I would be the pipe
there's a possibility, we could talk about possibly bringing your show on our network. I'm not free, but I'm worth it.
I mean,
actually, that was one of the questions
you just made a rise in my Levi's, man.
Well, Jimmy Starr's been on my network for 13 years.
Nice. Okay. Wow. Shit. So
that's how he got his start. If you talk about it, that's how he got his start, was on my network.
I will start I will start prepping my pipe cave for you and get the little landing lights in, like the little.
I'll be the landing strip.
Yeah, she'll be there with the batons. This way.
So I do want to digress, and then I want your other question, what you were going to ask about this. But I do want to finish the surfing story because
absolutely.
So I go back to Manuel Antonio, and we're supposed to go to Avita, and that morning I decide, I'm going to go surfing before we go on the next part. So apparently, unbeknownst to me, that our American healthcare system really sucks more than I thought it did, because they screwed up on me in Hawaii, and they misplaced my stent.
Oh, shit.
So basically, a stent is supposed to be at least a centimeter away from any intersecting vessel, and they put it flush up against my main artery. So during that year that I was getting better, it was actually slowly floating out into my main artery and then healing, because that's what happens. It'll heal over that. And so while I was on top of a wave, then I had the TV version. I had a massive heart attack.
Holy shit.
Like my heart stopped for 30 minutes and I paddled back to shore. Now, here's the best part of it.
Are you human?
Not really. I'm a metahuman. I'm a metahuman.
He's the
Here it is. Here's the best part right here. So first of all, the Costa Ricans are the coolest people ever, okay? I had like 20 strangers come and help me. Now, if this is Florida, they would have just walked on top of me. But in Costa Rica, they would help me, and then, they get the ambulance, and it's funny because where I was at, so it's kind of remote. They have to get you to like the main city. So the ambulance finally arrives, and I don't know if you ever heard of what's called a tuk-tuk.
Yeah.
So is that like those buses where everyone climbs on?
No, they're like the little,
right?
Well, they're like a little motorized bicycle encased, like it looks
okay, yeah.
Like, and they ride you around. So that's what the ambulance looked like. It was like a little tuk-tuk, and they only had the thing they put on your finger for your pulse. And so then they bring me to the one hospital, and then the hospital, they saved my life, because they thinned my blood out immediately because I was dying. And it took a long time for the ambulance to get there. I was at the point by the time they got there, I was praying for death, actually, because it was enough already. And so then they flew me to San Jose. And so I have to also give another shout out for Costa Rican people. So here's a funny story. So while I'm in Costa Rica, I'm, swiping on Tinder. And I was chatting with this one girl. We didn't meet. We didn't get a chance yet. I was actually probably going to meet her on my way back or whatever. So anyway, I'm in the hospital by myself in San Jose. So to back up from that, though, first, the cardiologist came and talked to me. I didn't have to ask. How about that?
Nice.
And the cardiologist called my insurance company.
Wow.
Like, who does that? So what does my insurance company say? Well, the cardiologist gets on and says, hey, he needs this procedure. He's going to die, blah, 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 blah. And they're like, well, it'll take 48 to 72 hours to approve the claim. And since it's a weekend, it'll probably take longer. And the cardiologist is like, I don't think you understand. By that time, he'll be dead.
Seriously.
Sorry, that's policy. So what Costa Rica did is, Costa Rica gives free healthcare to their citizens. They actually entered me into their social security system as if I was a citizen and treated me for free.
Wow.
Not only did they treat me for free, they did way better healthcare than the United States did. Not only that, but I looked at the bill had I had to pay it. Now, the bill in Hawaii was $400,000. Costa Rica did 3 times the amount of work that they did, and the bill was $15,000. That's why we have a problem in this country.
Absolutely.
100%.
They fixed me up. I was perfect, and I felt better right away, unlike the first time. came back to Florida. My cardiologist was like, yeah, they did a really good job. And you know, everybody confirmed that Hawaii was the one that caused the second heart attack. So when I'm getting released from San Jose, so I already missed the Vita Parta trip, and I was supposed to go to Nassau next, which was that day that I was getting released. So I said to the doctor at the hospital, I'm like, in Spanish, because I had to communicate in Spanish. I didn't speak English there for the most part. And I was like, well, should I go home to Florida or should I go on to Nassau? And you're not really supposed to go on commercial flights anyway. It's like, you should go to Nassau because in Florida, you'll have all kinds of stress and everything else. And Nassau, if anybody knows Nassau, it's dirt roads and it's like about as stress-free as possible. I just couldn't surf. So I did yoga instead. And I went and recovered in Nassau, came back. And so then I had to go through that whole year again. But before we get to the year, I want to tell you about this girl. Because, I mean, listen, I didn't even meet this girl. She came to the hospital when I was getting released.
I knew it.
Picked me up. Helped me get my medical records because obviously she can communicate much better than I can. I'm not allowed to lift bags at that point. She took my bags, lifted them, put them in her car. She found me a hotel room that was nice in San Jose area. And that's, you know, San Jose is not the best part of Costa Rica. You know, it's like being in Miami.
Right.
And then she brought me to get my prescriptions. I mean, I wouldn't have been able to do any of this stuff. And then she came and picked me up in the morning, she brought me out to dinner, picked me up in the morning to go to the airport to go to Nassau, took me out for lunch before hitting the flight, dropped me off at the flight. And like, who would do that in Florida? Do you know anybody in Orlando? Because I've been living here a long time. I know everybody, not one freaking person that I know in South Florida would have ever done that for me. Like, they'd be too busy at the bar.
Yeah, I mean, unless you got like a golden pipe, I mean, clearly, because fucking that shit doesn't happen for nobody.
No.
Why didn't you marry her?
Yeah, I probably should. We are still very close. I probably should, to be honest. You know,
You really
see, you were saying all the girls go for the guys that treat them like shit, and this girl like treats you like royalty, and you're like, okay, thanks.
Yeah, you're doing it. You're doing the thing.
Yeah, maybe I am. Actually, we are really good friends, and so then, you know, I went through the year recuperation and all that. Went back to Costa Rica last year in February, and I was a little under the weather when I got to Costa Rica because I was doing the Oscars red carpet and NAMM. And I don't know if you've read the research, but first of all, there was they find now, they didn't know then because we didn't know anything, there was a huge COVID breakout at NAMM last year.
Oh, wow.
And the red carpet event I was doing was with Jimmy Star, and a bunch of people got sick there on the red carpet. Was the Sue Wong event. So they had just flew in a bunch of people from China, and I'm doing a red carpet with microphones. I got deathly ill. Everything that they talked about in COVID, all these things, I had it. And I'm somebody, I get ill, I'm still fully functional. I couldn't get out of bed. And then finally, when I rose and I was better, I'm like, I'm better. Day later, I was worse again. Just like the stages they say for COVID, but nobody was talking about COVID.
Right.
I got back to Florida and I still had this congestion. It just wouldn't go away. And then I went to a doctor finally because I was going to Costa Rica, and you know, I hadn't gone to a doctor at all, but I was going to Costa Rica. I had to get better. And they said I had borderline bronchial pneumonia. Like, so I went through all those things. So I probably did have COVID. Okay. And then I went to Costa Rica and I still had to, like, I couldn't go surfing at first. I was talking to my, you know, surf buddies there. I'm like, yeah, wait, because I got this bronchitis and I wouldn't be able to paddle and blah, blah, blah. And so finally, the end of the trip, I'm going surfing. But then, you know, this was now a third time, okay? I had 2 years in a row of a heart attack surfing, okay? So this time I was a bit worried. And so I went to I had a friend that owns a surfing school there. I'm like, listen, I want to go out with an instructor because, I'm a little gun shy. And then, so I make the appointment, I get down there and like my heart's racing a mile a minute. I was going to chicken out. And then he put me with this guy, that surf instructor that's also a yogi. And so we get down to the beach and he saw what I was going through and he and this is, I hope I don't offend anybody, but I hope I do. Okay. My daughter always gets pissed when I tell her to relax. That's the society we live in today. Gen Xers grew up. If you're freaking out, relax. Somebody'd say relax and you would relax. You meditate. That's what meditation and yoga is. So that's exactly what he did. He's like, relax. And I relaxed. And he like, how's your breathing, your blah, 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 blah. And he got me to breathe right. And he's like, you're a surfer. And he got me in the mindset and all pumped up. And I went surfing and I didn't die. And then I flew back to the United States and we got locked down for COVID. So God has a sense of humor, like I said in the beginning of this show. And there it is.
That indeed, that is true. And I got to say, man, if you ever do happen to take that lady from Costa Rica out of the friend zone and marry her, I expect a wedding invitation now.
Yeah, there you go.
That was my suggestion. I'll do all the hair.
There you go. There you go. So
You
now,
should marry her.
so now what was your question? Yeah, I probably should. Maybe, let's see. Maybe I'll text her right now. Hey.
Okay, I have a suggestion.
They're telling me on this radio show I should marry you. What do you think?
No, you got to do it better than that. If you're like a hopeless romantic, you got to make it show.
Yeah, I wouldn't do that.
He's gonna be outside with the boombox over his head.
Or you like recreate the hospital, and you're like laying in the hospital bed and she has to come take care of you. But then you have a ring that you bust out. Or you have the ring in the pipe area situation. I don't know. I've got ideas.
Box kind of.
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah. No, I was just, so I had looked on your site, or I downloaded your app and saw the host your own shows feature, which I think is what you were telling Josh, right? About like getting on. What is that? How do you monitor that as like you being the hosting site? Do you only pick like-minded kind of things?
So I have multiple radio stations. The one you probably downloaded was W4CY Radio. Am I correct?
Yeah.
So we have that one. That's our first station and our main station. We also have K4HD Radio, which is our West Coast station, which is similar, but it's more geared towards entertainment.
Okay.
But W4CY is, a variety of topics. But then we've had other station branch off that are specific. Like we have the #1 ranked women's radio station in the world. It's an all women's empowerment station. And then we have a all health and wellness station that's geared towards natural health. And then we have an all cancer station. We even have an all pet health station.
I saw that.
Yeah, that's pretty cool. And then we also have, basically, we have our TV station, which is Talk 4 TV. And then, like I said, we do we do everything live, turn it into a podcast. And then, we also distribute it all over the place. So in answer to your question, it depends on which station. So obviously, health and wellness station, you're not going to put the Pipeman on doing the Pipeman thing on the health and wellness station. I'll talk about health and wellness, but not being the Pipeman. And, of course, the women's station, Pipeman's not allowed on the women's station because, not good, and so it really depends. But W4CY actually just has a mixture. It's basically the way I kind of look at it is if you're good and realize that this is a business, not a hobby, okay? Bottom line, okay? There's too many of these DIY people out there that suck, and there's reasons for it, okay? Like, shit. Let's put it this way. If you needed brain surgery and some dude came up to you and said, hey, I saw a video on YouTube on how to do brain surgery, are you going to let them put a scalpel to your head? Well,
It depends on the
They
price.
should use a mic.
Right.
What's that?
Maybe, but not brains.
Yeah, it depends on the price.
Yeah, probably. Well, that's why you have all these podcasts, because they can go on some crapple like something like Glob Awk Radio or something, and they can record at cassette tape quality and use their own software.
On their phone, yeah.
And chew while they're recording. I hate that.
Oh my!
You can hear somebody
God.
chewing. I can't handle it, man.
Oh my God, it's just ridiculous. And the fact of the matter is, you could be a great host. Unless you know what you're doing with audio engineering, you shouldn't be doing that shit. Okay, the bottom line, listen, I know how to work the board, and I still don't do it myself for a radio show, for the simple fact that I can't possibly focus on the sound all the time and do the interview. It's like one or the other. And God forbid a tech aspect comes. Like, I can do it, but I shouldn't be to have the perfect sound. Like, my engineers, they're constantly playing with the knobs, because it's not a set it and forget it, people. And your sound quality sucks, people. Just telling you. Okay, you have the greatest.
Do not listen to my podcast, please.
Listen, you can have the greatest content in the world. If it hurts somebody's ears to listen to it, and somebody like me, it would. Like, I could turn something on, like, oh God, I can't listen to this.
No, I'm the same way. I am. I'm a bougie podcast listener.
I'm usually within like the first 10, 15 seconds, like of them actually talking, not whatever intros I got going on. That's usually how I'll decide. I was like, okay, can I listen to this voice?
Yeah.
Does it sound good?
No doubt. Like, and you got to switch it up, just like I did on here. It's like, you can't listen to the same shit the whole time. We don't live in that society. I say people don't have ADD, society has ADD. Okay? And so, listen, I have one show I heard once that the first 3 minutes of the show was, I don't even know what it was. It was like, what were you? You were just rambling. It wasn't even had anything to do with the show, So that's the thing too. With my show hosts, I will critique them. I'm from New York and New Jersey, so I'm brutally honest. Okay, and listen, they like that. The pros like that. Like, I have a client today I was on the phone with, and she's like, I want the reason I call you is because I know you're going to give me shit.
Yeah.
If it's not good, and you're not going to just tell me what I want to hear. Like, I love these people. It's just like with guests. Okay, listen, I have guests that they want to be on my show, and it's like, okay, what do you have to bring to the table? Well, I have great content. I'm like, great. So do 2 million other DIY podcasters. Now what do you have? And if they can't say anything else after that, which a lot of times are like, I don't know. And then they go back to the content.
The fucking drive and personality to persevere and be the best. Was that good enough for you?
Closer. It's closer for sure.
If anything, I got a fucking dead shark here.
That's all that matters.
That's it.
And as you can see, I do all my shows. I do a 2-hour show. I never prepare. I don't take notes. It's all off the cuff. All my radio interviews are off the cuff. And there's one thing that rock artists always say to me after the interview, almost always, man, that was fun. How many press people get that from a music artist? Okay.
Yeah.
No, they're like they want to fucking pull the needles out of their eyes. Okay. It's like, I see it, like, especially metalheads. Okay, I'm a metalhead. And you know what? You have no business being in a press tent if you don't like metal at a metal show. Like, and they're going to know immediately. You're going to sit there and you don't even know any of their songs, and you're asking stupid fucking questions off your piece of paper. I mean, come on. Like, whereas I get in and I tell stories about how I was seen in the Troubadour in 1981 or 82, and this no name band with 25 people, and the Troubadour was playing, and the lead guitarist came up to me afterwards, was talking to me, and handed me his business card, and it was white with blue writing, and it said Metallica Power Metal Dave Mustaine.
Nice.
That's the only way you get interviews with metalheads, because I can tell stories like that. And they know I'm passionate about that, and they see me out in the pit during their show, and then I'm interviewing them. So it's like, hey, cool, and then the blue hair, even, which nobody can see, and it's kind of faded, but we got a shave going on, and cool stuff. And then that's
like you're a fucking beacon in the pit.
Yeah, it's become my trademark too. At my surfboard, I have one of my best friends in life. He's pro surfing champion from the 60s. He's a designer of surfboards, famous designer. People, all celebrities, like celebrity surfers, not like Kanye West or something. But they get their surfboards from him. And I have one. It's got my logo on it. My logo is with the blue hair. And, it's funny because when I set up the interviews and I just tell the publicist or the band member, I'm like, yeah, I have, when I had the faux hawk, now I have it in a ponytail, but I would be like, yeah, I have a black and blue faux hawk. You can't miss me. And then I even have stuff like, all of the artists, they love it. So they eat it up. So that's why I keep it that way. You're 54 and you have blue hair, it's fashionable. You're 18 and you have blue hair, you're a derelict. It's really great. It is. There's not many great things about getting older. That's one of them. And even I was doing an interview with Taylor Momsen and Ben from the Pretty Reckless, and I've gotten friendly with Taylor, and probably because I never mention interviews about the Grinch or even better about Gossip Girl, because she hates that. It's like she was a little kid. It was like 12 years ago. Yeah. And every interview at these rock festivals, she left that crap to do rock and roll.
I'll tell you what, ever since she's been in that band, I've never once looked at her as that shitty ass little Cindy Lou Who. She is so sexy now.
Well, what's funny too? I never watched Gossip Girl. So that's a good thing, because I didn't know Gossip Girl. I knew rock star, Taylor. And after interviewing a couple of times, I decided to binge watch Gossip Girl just to see why everybody keeps asking her about this and why it bugs her so much in certain ways. And the bottom line is that's not who she is. And she left that. I have so much respect for her. She left the easy way to take the hard way because of her passion for rock and roll. And the character she plays is nothing like who she is in real life. And who wants to keep talking about it after you left it? It's like you worked at Walmart when you were 16 and everybody keeps asking you what it was like to work at Walmart. And now you're like a big radio show host at, 20 years later or whatever, and so it's funny during one of the interviews, and I love this stuff. She goes, and I get this a lot. She goes, I love your blue hair. And I'm like, well, thanks. You could rock. And she said something like, I wish I could do a blue. I'm like, you could rock the blue too. She's like, yeah, not like you. When you have somebody as hot as her saying that, Pipeman lives.
Wait, was that code for you went half mass or something, or
I don't know about that, but I certainly wish she picked me up at the hospital.
There you go.
There you go.
But she's cool as shit. She's just so down to earth, real, and that's the thing too, is if you're real, they'll be real, and that's the other thing I can't stand. All these press people in the press tent, most of them shouldn't even be pressed. They're all just there to fanboy out or fangirl out. And I never do that. I never take selfies with them. I usually have my assistant say, here, ask them, can you take a picture with the pipe man, not the other way around, to use for promo. I never ask for autographs. I can't stand that stuff in the press tent. It's ridiculous. That's not what they're there for. You're one of them. At that point, they're backstage. That's their safe zone. Act like a pro. There was one time Zach Wilde was back there, everybody was all over him, and he's a nice guy, so they're giving him autographs. To finally his tour manager be like, "Come on, guys, we're here working." Like, you shouldn't have to tell people they're working that. It's not and he goes, "It's not a meet and greet." You know, they just want to be normal, and they just that's where their safe zone is. Give them the safe zone. Now, that doesn't mean there haven't been a couple occasions in my mind. Like, I have a great story. I was interviewing Ray Mayorga on a tour bus. I got off the tour bus, and I was sitting on a curb smoking a cigarette, and this dude walks up to me, starts talking to me. I knew who it was, but I played off like I didn't know who it was. And we were just talking about the weather and shit, and I never once acknowledged I knew who he was. And inside my head, I'm like, oh my fucking God, I'm sitting here talking to Corey Taylor.
Oh shit, dude. I would have crapped my pants.
Yeah, I'm a huge Slipknot fan. And I'm a huge Corey Taylor fan altogether. Yeah. And then the other one, now this is great, that same time. So then after that, I might get in trouble because I am friends with John for saying this, but I might have told him anyway that I almost hit on these two women. They were like they were backstage. One had blue hair, one had another colored hair, and you know, that turned me on, and they were hot, and they're playing Foursquare with these two kids backstage. And I was like about to hit on them, and I didn't know who it was, because a lot of times when you're in that backstage situation, you like, even if you know the people, you don't know. It's like it's different scenario, you know. It's not like you're seeing them up on stage. And so then next thing you know, I'm in the photo pit for the show. Okay. And so of course Stone Sour was the headliner, but you know, the band opening for him was a small band called Skillet.
Oh, I love Skillet.
Yeah. And so, yeah. And then I looked up, I'm like, oh fuck, I almost hit on the girls on Skillet.
Nice.
So
they're good looking.
Yeah, so you know, and him, John, he is the nicest dude. Like I've interviewed. They're just some of these people, and people don't get it. Like, these people are just real people, and they're just artists. And support your artists, people, because they're getting dicked around every which way but forward, especially during this pandemic. You know,
streaming,
stop stealing their freaking music. And I'm talking to you podcasters too, and you radio stations. Start getting licensed and paying the freaking royalties. You want to play their music? I've had actually people saying to me that it's like, well, they should just let me play their music. I'm like, do you work for free? Like, so yeah, I'm gonna call all you people out there. Pay your royalties. These people work so hard for you. You know, why are you trying to gyp them out of money? You're stealing money from them. So we're in a pandemic. They can't perform live. They get dicked by, you know, the system and the business where they're not making money off of music because you're streaming on Spotify and they make a penny. Yep. Listen, go to their websites, buy their merch. Okay. Right. They need to survive, because when we get out of this thing, I'm telling you right now, you're going to want to be at that show. And they need to afford to be there. And I've also said, forget everything else, okay? This is music. It's the common denominator. Music's the best therapy. And I believe that when we're over COVID, take the whole world and just put them in one big mosh pit, and we'll work it all out.
Yes.
And 2024, forget any candidates. You know what? You want to have real candidates? Let's have a wall of death, and whoever wins, you're the president.
Fuck yes. Oh, I am so in. I am going to get like my fucking, I'm going to get my gear ready, like that post-apocalyptic fucking Mad Max gear on.
Yeah,
I'm
there
just gonna watch.
Listen, Trump says he's going to run in 2024. Meghan Markle says she wants to run. Okay, let's have a wall of death and a celebrity death match between Meghan Markle and Donald Trump.
They really need to bring that celebrity death match show. That was a great show.
Oh, it totally was. And it would be so great now, because you could have done Trump against Hillary, Trump against Biden. You know, there's so much material for celebrity death match. That would be great right now.
Yep, absolutely. Couldn't agree more.
I love that idea.
That's so cool. You got to talk to Corey Taylor. I'm envious of that because Slipknot is the band that made me realize what rock and metal music was. I was like, this was the first time I kind of like heard it, and I was like, whoa, what is this? And I was like, okay, I like this, because my first song I ever heard by them was I Am Hated, and it clicked. I was like, this is my shit. And from then on, it's always been rock and metal in my life.
There you go.
I love it.
And first time I saw Slipknot was Third Stage Ozfest.
Nice.
And then Mudvayne played that too.
Okay.
And there is rumor if we have festivals in the fall, there might be some Mudvayne.
Honestly, I'm really excited for everything to start opening up, because we've been talking to a few musicians ourselves, and I mean, they are all working on some of these most amazing projects, and they got all these creative juices flowing. Even though being like confined, it's giving them a new outlet of creativity. And once they're ready to release that shit to the world, it's going to blow up. It's going to be awesome. It's going to be a whole new world of different arts all around.
It's going to be massive. Like, listen, I have said in many of my interviews that some of the best music that ever happened in history will have come out of this quarantine. Because, listen, we've all been going a million miles a minute, no time to stop. Artists are no different. And then, they're trying to write music going from gig to gig on a tour bus or what have you. Not the great conditions to focus and get creative. So now they were forced to go back to old school and be creative and really create some great music. And there's been some great music coming out of this pandemic, and I think there's more coming out. And, and then, like, okay, people, is it bad? Yes. But go back to the 1918 pandemic and what followed that, the Roaring 20s. That's what we're looking to. Let's not focus on the past year. Let's focus on what's coming forward. Because, listen, everything that's ever happened in our history, in our lives, what have you, when we're going through it, it seems like it lasts forever. And then when we look back on it, it's a blip in history.
What do they say? Like, the days are long, but the years are short.
Oh, yeah. I mean, think about it. 9/11 was 20 years ago.
It's
Holy
wild.
shit. I feel old.
Yeah.
Right?
I remember sitting in elementary school fucking coloring, and then teacher turning the news on, and I was like, shit.
You're so young. You're so young.
Yeah. So there you are. And see, I remember being in grammar school with closed caption TV, watching them open the Twin Towers.
Wow.
Shit.
That's interesting.
Yeah, right?
That's crazy. Yeah, I mean, we seem to think we kind of almost got it all figured out. Not us in general, but people in general. And we're in such a very, very, very small sliver of such decades, years, and centuries of fucking accomplishments, and it's crazy.
It's wild. And you know what? As from the liberal side of me, who is very pro-environmental, why the fuck are we going to Mars to destroy that planet now?
Seriously.
Like, what the fuck? We haven't done enough here. We got to destroy Mars too.
Yeah, I'm really anxious to. I mean, I don't know. I think it'd be nice to live on another planet and start fresh.
I'm ready for another planet. I'm just saying we're going to destroy it. We don't learn from our mistakes. We're going to do the same thing we did here.
This is true. Well, I got to say, man, it has been an absolute pleasure having you on. Before you go, though, I did want to ask if there was anything that you would like to tell our guests, any kind of message you'd like to spread to the world.
Yeah, you know what? Before I got on this interview, I told the publicist, I'm like, I know it's like, how long am I going to be on there? I don't want to be on there 2 hours.
Here we are 2 hours later.
I know, I was thinking that. I was like, he likes us.
Yeah.
Here we are 2 hours later. So listeners, listen, okay? You need to tune into this show all the time or the pipe man's coming after you, okay?
I might like that.
If I gave it the 2 hour nod, Okay. The only people I give 2 hours to is my own show because it's my ego. Okay. Like, so I'm okay with the 2 hours, but here we are, I could have been hitting a pipe or something, and instead I'm sitting here. So you have no excuses out there.
I'm now extremely honored if you could be hitting a pipe and instead you're still here with us.
Exactly.
Same.
Exactly.
I think you need to recap that and make it like the ad for the show,
Yeah, the pipe man gave up the pipe for the morning.
Yeah. And laid it down at Mindless Morning Show.
Well, yeah. I appreciate you hanging around as long as you did, and I'm so happy that you really enjoyed your time here, and I will definitely be looking to connect with you on your network.
Yes.
Absolutely. And it's been fun. And listen, I've been waiting for 2 hours to say this, but I love when women do the shave.
Oh, thanks. I did it on both sides recently, so.
Nice.
Oh, there it is. The hairstylist. He likes it.
Yes.
I know, right? I'm just fitting into your crazy category.
And you know what? I find it so brave when women do that, because I remember when my hair was long, and I remember the first time I did the shave, when that was the popular thing to put it in the point, the high ponytail with the shave. And I was so scared because it takes so long to grow your hair to that length. And it's gone in 2 seconds. And then what do you do?
I know. Well, I actually shaved my head to spite an ex after we broke up one time, like my whole head, just shaved it all off.
You're definitely my kind of crazy.
Good. I'm glad I can satisfy that for you.
Yeah, any woman that shaves her head to spite an ex, that's good. That's a high level crazy.
Is that your 10 on the hot crazy chart?
I reached the peak on that chart.
Yeah, that might be 11.
Whoa. I haven't got 11 before.
Oh, shit. Well, look out, guys. Good.
Well, thank you for being on. We really appreciate it. And you were my first interview, so I was excited.
Yeah.
My pleasure. And, maybe, you'll talk to Eileen. You could book you guys on my show too. And then I could really harass the shit out of you, because then you'll be in my world.
Have at it, man. I love a good old harassment from a pipe man.
Yeah. My slogan is where anything goes, and where who knows and anything goes.
Yes.
Okay. I like
never know what's going to come out of the pipe man's mouth. See, the beauty of the pipe man is everything that every person walking the earth has in their head, I'll actually say.
Love it.
It doesn't matter.
No filter.
Where in real life, I do have a filter. It's so freeing to be on the radio and just not give a crap about any of this offensive shit.
Yeah.
So true. True.
I am very much looking forward to being on your show and blossoming our partnership together.
That'd be
Let's
awesome.
do it.
Yay.
Awesome. Well,
have a good night.
Everybody, stay mindless.
Thank you guys for tuning in to the Mindless Morning Show. We hope you enjoyed it, and we greatly appreciate you guys picking us out of the many great podcasts out there. Now go enjoy your mindless day.